The story of Abraham's sacrifice in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. The story of a father being asked by God to sacrifice his son is one of the most powerful and emotional stories in all of religious history. It is told in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, the three major Abrahamic religions. Although the basic storyline is the same in all three faiths, there are some important differences in the details and the lessons each religion draws from the event. This story is about Abraham, called Ibrahim in Islam, a man known for his strong faith in God. God tested him by asking him to do something very difficult, to sacrifice his beloved son. This test was not meant to result in the son's death, but to show how obedient Abraham was to God. In the end, God stopped the sacrifice and provided an animal, usually said to be a ram, to be sacrificed instead. Judaism, the binding of Isaac. In Judaism, the story is called the Akedah, which means the binding. It is found in the book of Genesis, chapter 22, in the Torah. In this version, Isaac is the son that God tells Abraham to sacrifice. According to the story, God speaks to Abraham and tells him to take his son Isaac to the land of Moriah and offer him as a burnt offering. Abraham obeys without arguing. He wakes up early the next morning, takes Isaac and 2 servants, and begins the journey. When they reach the mountain, Abraham leaves the servants behind and climbs up with Isaac, carrying wood for the fire. As they walk, Isaac notices something is missing. He asks, "Father, where is the lamb for the sacrifice?" Abraham answers, "God will provide." Then he builds an altar, binds Isaac, and places him on it. As he raises the knife to kill his son, an angel of God calls out to stop him. God tells Abraham that he has passed the test and does not need to harm Isaac. Then Abraham sees a ram caught in a bush and sacrifices it instead. In Judaism, this story is very important. It shows Abraham's total trust in God. Isaac's role is also seen as brave and willing, even though he is not the main focus. Jews read this story during the Jewish New Year, Rosh Hashanah, as a reminder of faith, obedience, and God's mercy. Christianity, a symbol of Christ. Christians also believe the story is told in Genesis, with Isaac as the son to be sacrificed. But Christians see the story as more than a test of faith. For them, it also points forward to the story of Jesus Christ. In Christian belief, God sacrificed his own son, Jesus, for the sake of humanity, to forgive sins and offer eternal life. So, when Abraham is willing to sacrifice his son Isaac, Christians see this as a preview or symbolic foreshadowing of what God himself would later do. There are many parallels between Isaac and Jesus. For example, both are called only sons by their fathers. Both are loved deeply by their fathers. Isaac carries the wood for his own sacrifice, just as Jesus carries the cross. The location of Isaac's sacrifice, Mount Moriah, is often linked with the area of Jerusalem, where Jesus was crucified. In the New Testament, the writers refer to Abraham's faith as a model. In the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, Abraham is praised for trusting that even if Isaac died, God could bring him back to life. In the book of Romans, Paul also speaks about Abraham's faith being counted as righteousness. So, in Christianity, the story has 2 meanings. First, it shows Abraham's great faith and obedience. Second, it serves as a symbol of the gospel, where Jesus becomes the ultimate sacrifice given by God out of love for the world. Islam, the story of Ibrahim and his son. In Islam, the story is told in the Quran, mainly in Surah As-Saffat, chapter 37, verses 100 to 113. There are some differences in the Islamic version. The most well-known difference is the name of the son. The Quran does not name him, but most Muslims believe it was Ishmael, not Isaac. According to the Islamic version, the Prophet Ibrahim has a dream where God tells him to sacrifice his son. Ibrahim knows that prophets' dreams are commands from God, so he goes to his son and tells him what he has seen. The son, Ismail, does not resist. He says, "Father, do as you are commanded. You will find me, if God wills, among the patient." So Ibrahim takes his son to the place of sacrifice and lays him down. Just as he is about to carry out the act, God stops him and sends a ram to sacrifice instead. Ibrahim and his son both passed the test, showing complete submission to God's will, which is a central message in Islam. Muslims believe this event shows the importance of obedience, trust, and faith in God, not only from Ibrahim, but also from his son. Both were willing to give up everything for God. This event is remembered and celebrated every year during the holiday called Eid al-Adha, or the Festival of Sacrifice. On this day, Muslims around the world sacrifice an animal, usually a sheep, goat, or cow, to honor Ibrahim's obedience and to share with the poor. Comparing the three versions. Though the story is shared between the three religions, each one gives it its own focus and meaning. In Judaism, the story is a test of Abraham's faith and a key example of Jewish obedience to God. It's also a reminder of God's mercy. In Christianity, the story is both a test of Abraham's faith and a symbol of Jesus' future sacrifice, showing God's love and plan for salvation. In Islam, the focus is on both Ibrahim and Ismail's submission to God, which reflects the core meaning of Islam itself, surrender to God's will. The differences, such as whether the son was Isaac or Ishmael, are important within each religion's beliefs, but they don't change the heart of the story. All three faiths agree that God tested Abraham's loyalty and that he passed the test by being willing to give up what he loved most. They also agree that God stopped the sacrifice, showing mercy and providing a substitute. Conclusion. The story of Abraham's sacrifice is one of the most meaningful and emotional stories in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Though the names and details vary slightly, the message is the same: true faith means trusting God even when it's hard. It's about obedience, love, and a deep relationship between a believer and God. For Jews, it's a story about loyalty and divine mercy. For Christians, it's a symbol of the ultimate sacrifice through Jesus. For Muslims, it's a lesson in complete submission to God's will. Even with their differences, the story connects all three religions, showing their shared roots and their belief in a God who tests, guides, and ultimately shows mercy to his faithful followers.